Alright everybody, so today in this video we're gonna explain, after I've explained how to become a cybersecurity analyst, which is the defensive side of this field, let's explain today how to get yourself into the offensive side of this field by becoming a penetration tester. Now in this video I'm gonna explain the basics so you can get yourself started, and then you can walk yourself up by researching more and more. So in this video, we're gonna talk about the basics, okay? How to become a penetration tester. Now, how to become a penetration tester, it all comes down to the first thing, which is the mindset, guys. The mindset. In the defensive side of cybersecurity, you need your mindset should revolve around protecting things. Now, in penetration testing, your mindset should be revolving around breaking things. Okay, I mean it's hacking. It's like you are hacking, but legally. You're hired to hack things. Okay, so let's just start by exploring, guys, what you need to know. Okay, to get yourself started. So let's first by operating systems, guys. So let's go now to our browser and see what are the courses I recommend you to start with penetration testing. So I'm gonna start first with the operating systems. First is Linux, guys. You need, an intermediate level at least of Linux. So to do that, you can go to edX. In edX, there's a very well put course, which is Introduction to Linux by Linux Foundation. It's free. You can enroll in this course and we can apply what you have learned with your system. Okay, so just take out the commands, apply it to your operating system. You need just to understand how to use networking commands, system commands, process commands, basic disk utilities. These kind of commands, you need to know how to use these commands, and you need to know how to interact with the system. Okay, so you see, guys, Linux is very important. Okay, if you don't like this course, you can go to Linux Academy. Linux Academy, it's kind of number one in teaching Linux, and you can start free. Okay, and they have online labs, online tasks, so you can track your progress, achieve milestones, and see where you stand. I recommend you guys to install any distribution of Linux, Ubuntu, um, Debian, whatever, okay, and start interacting with your system by starting with these courses, okay? Apply what you learn, and maybe you're gonna end up with some small project in Linux. Who knows? So Linux is very important. Now, of course, guys, these are not all the courses, but I am telling you the courses that I have seen, and these are my recommended courses to you for Linux. You can just go to Google and you're gonna find a bunch of courses in Linux. But the most important is, guys, to apply what you learn uh, by interacting with an active distribution. Okay, just install on a virtual machine and interact with it. Second, guys, networking. Okay, networking. So you can't just right off the bat start with penetration testing. This is ridiculous, guys. I have received many messages, guys, from people telling me how I start hacking, how I start pen testing. Okay, you can't just start with penetration testing without anything, ground zero. No, you need basics. Okay, you need to start away from penetration testing and then walk closer to your goal, which is by becoming penetration tester. Penetration tester is not something you learn immediately. You need to combine multiple of skills. Okay, so by having a compilation of skills, you end up being a pen tester. There is no quick way to become pen testers. So let's go now to networking. In Coursera, Cisco has launched a collection of courses into one specialization called Introduction to Cisco Networking. In this specialization, guys, you're going to enroll for free, and if you decide to pay money, you can earn certificate from Coursera and Cisco in networking. Of course, it's not like CCNA, but I mean, it's very well course if you want to prepare for CCNA. And if you want to know, if you guys see yourself like to use networks, use routers, switches, command line, troubleshooting, if you see yourself in a position where you don't feel bored dealing with these network issues, troubleshooting, architectures, protocols, then you can start by this course, guys. It's a collection of 5 specialization, I think, and they are larger networks, Cisco IOS command line, building a small Cisco network, troubleshooting common network problems. So come on, guys. You see, when you start with this course, you are not only preparing for pen testing, you can end up by becoming a network engineer, not by taking this course, but by exploring your passion. Okay, so pen testing, I mean, is a door or a gateway to multiple opportunities, guys. So you may like Linux and you may become Linux developer, or you may like networks and may become ISP, like service provider for some, may work for MSPs or ISPs, whatever. So start with this, guys, and if you like networking, then you can step up by going to Cisco and sign in for CCNA. So CCNA is not a compulsory. What's that? Okay. So CCNA is not compulsory for, I see the browser in Turkish, although I am not Turkish, but I don't know why. Okay. So CCNA is not compulsory for pen testing, but it's a great way into becoming a very strong and well, get your grip well on networking by starting with this course and then taking CCNA. You may decide to go to CNB, but they are not all required. The required is basic network knowledge. Okay, let me close that. Close this. So guys, there you go. You have the networks and you have the operating system, which is Linux. Now the next important operating system is Windows Server. Why? Because sometimes you may be required to test Windows systems. Okay, so you need to know, the inner workings of Windows servers, like the Active Directory, DNS server, file server, patch management, whatever. You need to understand how Windows Server works so you can know how to test the system for weaknesses. So you can go to Microsoft, guys, and the only way to learn Windows Server, guys, is by installing Labs. Don't read books, don't take courses. It's not theoretical oriented field or topic. You need to understand this by doing this by your hands. Learn by doing by your hands. So you go to this link. I'm going to kind of put these links, all of them, in the video description so you can have quick access to them. You go to this link, guys. Go to product and go down to Windows Server. You may want to explore a bit about SQL Server, storage. Yep. You see you have Linux virtual machines, so you can interact with Linux. And you can start doing these labs. They are self-paced labs, guys. So start with them, explore Windows Server, explore SQL Server, know how these guys work, so you know how to test them. So now you have the network side, you have in your arena, you have the networks, you have operating systems, you have to understand all of these guys together. Now it's time to move to programming. So I recommend learning from this website, W3 Schools. And for pen testing, guys, you need to know basics of HTML, CSS. You're not a web developer, even though you're not a web developer, but you understand these. Learning how to read page sources, learning how to read, understand the web. So HTML, CSS is a good start, not for testing, but you need to understand these guys. JavaScript is important to understand scripting languages and interact with the client-side vulnerabilities. Okay, So JavaScript is for testing for client-side vulnerabilities. Now SQL is for testing back-end servers or back-end vulnerabilities. SQL is very important. You know that SQL injection, whatever. PHP is also important. Testing the back-end. So SQL and PHP for the back-end. HTML, CSS, JavaScript for client testing. These are for server testing. ASP is recommended, guys. Node, of course. Now, after you have learned all of these guys, you can start with Python. So Python, it's more than learning a scripting language, guys. When you learn Python, you can start designing your own tools. You can start by designing your own testing scripts that save you time when you do pen testing. So when you enroll in a pen testing where the repetitive tasks are always on the way or are always on your agenda, so you might end up designing a Python script, okay, to automate your tasks. Okay, C++ is for testing for buffer overflows, vulnerabilities, testing the softwares, testing the reviewing codes, whatever. So C++, I mean, you can leave that later, but you need to start with either by learning the languages that qualify you for client-side testing or the languages that might qualify you for server backend set testing, okay? Then you can go to Python, and if you want to step into reverse engineering, malware analysis, or exploit development, which we're going to talk about this later in videos, you can start by learning C++, C, and say it with me, assembly. Okay. Now, another website for learning programming is this one, Code Academy. Code Academy, another great website to learn programming. And you can sign up for free. And the concept is the same, guys. You start with either back-end programming languages or front-end. Okay, depends on you guys. But for perfect penetration testing, you need to understand both. Okay. Now you have the programming, you have the networks level, networks knowledge, you have operating system levels, knowledge, sorry. Now you can combine all of these guys together and start learning how to test. Okay. Now the most important thing in penetration testing, guys, is, as I said, the mindset and understanding one thing that saves you time, which is cyber kill chain. I will explain this later in this video. But let's talk about um, what does pen tester do in his job? I mean, like, pen tester performs formal penetration tests on web-based applications, networks, computer systems. It might be physical security, testing for physical security. It might be social engineering. Pen tester conducts physical security, as I said, for servers, systems, whatever, network devices. They design and create pen testing tools and scripts. How? By using scripting languages, as I said, Python. Most of it is Python. Of course, let's now mention the career path of penetration tester. Now, penetration tester, guys, most of the time they end up being hired as senior or junior penetration tester. So if you have the networks, Linux, the operating system, and programming knowledge, and you have understanding of the basic of penetration testing as theoretically speaking, you can start by junior penetration tester. And then when you step your way up, you can become senior penetration tester. You see, guys, senior penetration testers There are many overlaps with security consultant or security architect or vulnerability assessor. So, vulnerability assessor, there's a term called vulnerability assessment or vulnerability assessor. Vulnerability. So you see there's the term vulnerability assessor and the term penetration testing. What's the difference, guys? Look, penetration tests are designed to achieve a specific, they are specific attacker simulated goal. You are simulating the attacker, okay? And penetration testing or tests should be requested by your clients and customers who are already at their desired security posture. I mean, you can look at that by a typical goal could be like to access the content of a customer database of a customer internal system, okay, or modify a record in, let's say, medical records in a medical clinic or medical records. So once you have access to these, you have performed the job of penetration tester. But vulnerability assessment or vulnerability assessor, all vulnerability assessment are designed to yield, let's say, a list of vulnerabilities, okay, prioritized list of vulnerabilities, and then make it ready for clients who can understand and decide which of these vulnerabilities need to be patched without interrupting business operations, okay, or without interfering with budget. The customer already knows they have issues and they simply request help by listing the vulnerabilities and prioritizing them. So vulnerability assessors, they only prepare the list of vulnerabilities and they help the client achieve prioritization strategy. But pen testers, guys, they are after a goal. Okay, their goal is to break your system legally under an agenda and under a contract without any play like CTFs. Okay, so it's not like CTF, guys. It's pen testing is about you have a goal. Okay, you have a system that you need your customer to prove that this system is broken or that this system doesn't have the well put security measures to protect the confidential information. You need to prove that to the customer. If you couldn't, okay, for any reason, it might be the customer system are secure enough or your methodology has some kind of weakness. So that's the difference between vulnerability assessor and penetration tester. So there you have it, guys. Now let's talk about the labs, online labs that you might need after you have learned all of these and understand what you might become if you want to be hired as pen testers. So Vulnerable Hub, guys, as we do in our videos, is a website that hosts a bunch of vulnerable machines waiting for you to come and test them and find their weakness. Of course, guys, don't mix between, the objective of vulnerable machines and the objective of real life pen testing. There's a vast difference in the methodology and a vast difference in the way the test is conducted. Normally, during a real life pen testing, you have a scope. Okay, the scope might be limited to uh, some phase during the cyber kill chain. It might be the whole cyber kill chain. So depending on the goal, your penetration testing methodology will be formed. But here, guys, in Vulnerable Hub, you are downloading the machine, guys, okay, and practicing your own pen testing skills. Pen testing skills, okay. You are practicing your own skills, but the methodology is not the same. Uh, don't try to look for a flag when you are testing for a client machine, or don't try to break things for the client so you prove that the client is gonna pay you money for that. No, it's not bug hunting and it's not CTF. Okay, so that's the difference between vulnerable hubs and real life pen testing. Vulnerable hubs doesn't have methodology. You download the system, and the system now is your own. But in the case of clients, the system is not your own. So you need to assign contracts, you need to assign scope, you need to assign what's accepted for the client, what's not acceptable, what are your privileges, what's not allowed to do, whatever. You are very limited during your life penetration testing. But here you're not limited. You can use that for your own practice. You can use as well, you know it, guys, Hack the Box. So Hack the Box is another platform for testing your penetration testing skills, growing your penetration testing skills, of course. So these two websites are very great start for you guys after you have learned the networks, programming, and operating systems. Now, I'm going to show you a site, but it's very old. It's called Hack This Site. Hack This Site, guys. I like this site, and it's one of the websites that I have started learning when I first decided to go into this field. It has like, you see challenges. These challenges span multiple skills, okay? Programming, cryptography, realistic, whatever, forensic. So you start with each challenge, and actually their walkthrough are on the web. So whenever you start a challenge, and you need to log in as well. And if you don't know the solution, guys, you can go to the web, type the walkthrough, search it in Google, and find the solution and learn from it. Like this site is a very, I mean, it's old, but I mean, I recommend this. Okay, now whatever we have, let me tell you about the this one. It's for web-based penetration testing. Download this guy over here, okay, put it on a virtual machine, okay, and start learning web-based penetration testing, SQL injection attacks, file information disclosure, file inclusion attacks, uploads, cross-site scripting, cross-site cross forgery, all of these guys under the name of a WASP. Yeah, they are very necessary for penetration testing, guys, web-based ones. These ones are for everything, system, the whole system. These are for web-based, okay? Now let's talk about books. Now the books, guys, it's my favorite part. Okay, penetration testing hands-on introduction to hacking. This book, guys, teach you how to do penetration testing in a way that it spans all the required skills in one book. Okay, all the required skills. You can take a look at the content and well, you can find the content here, I think. Click on that. Okay, you see here, need virtual lab, need programming, Metasploit. And here it lists the required skills based on the cyber kill chain. You have the information gathering, scanning, reconnaissance, finding vulnerabilities, catching traffic, exploitation, password attack, client-side exploitation, social engineering. Very well-written book if you want to start in penetration testing, guys. Now, the second one, after you have grasped the knowledge from this book, you can go to this one. It's penetration testing with Kali Linux. No, it's Amazon Web Service, I think. Yeah. I was searching for the book, penetration testing with Kali Linux. There's one for, I mean, written specifically for Kali Linux. It seems that we have got a lot of good books over here, but the one that I recommend, because I read this book, where is this? Oh, this one. It teaches you how to leverage Kali Linux for ultimate penetration testing, guys. I recommend this book, guys, after you have reached the level of, after you get yourself started with penetration testing, you can go and download this book. I don't know if you can find a free version of this book, but try with your luck. So let's talk about now uh, the certificates. What other certificates you need? Well, all you know, guys, that OSCP is a very well-known and renowned certificate, offensive security. All of you know the certificate, but some of you guys cannot afford the cost of labs and the cost of, the exam. So you have alternatives, guys. One of the alternatives are you can go to Science Institute, but it's not well alternative, guys, because it's more expensive than OSCP. But so a certified incident handler, you go to JIAC. Oh, here. So Science Institute offers GIAC certificates. So from here, you click on pen testing and you find a list of courses starting from the level of knowledge. So you start with this one, then with this one, and you walk all the way up to becoming exploit researcher, Python coder, whatever. But I think we can start with these two over here, incident handler or penetration tester. Okay, don't just be fascinated and infatuated by the name of exploit researcher and advanced penetration tester. Well, note, guys, that these courses are not lab oriented. They are like any other exam, multiple choice questions. Okay, so but the material is worth trying. Their material is very, very well written, comprehensive, and have everything. But it's more expensive than OSCP. But the thing OSCP is, it's very practical and teaches you how to really get your hands dirty in this field. Now, guys, let's talk about, click all of these, give them X, and talk about the most important thing in pen testing, the cyber kill chain. So, guys, in pen testing, you start with scanning or discovering the network. Okay, so let's take a quick look on how to use Kali Linux for a real life pen testing. So over here, guys, you're gonna start discovering your network by using information gathering tool. One of the tools is Network Discover. Every tool in Kali Linux has set of options and help guide. You can use the guideline over here to learn how to use the tool. So see, the usage over here suggests that you type the command netdiscover, specify your option, guys. And that's why when we started the video, we said that you need to understand basic level of networking, operating systems, and programming. Why? Because in order to understand what's written here, you need to understand what's Ethernet. You understand what's, what can I say here? So ARP. If you don't know what's ARP, then it's not deficiency in your pen testing skills. It's deficiency from your foundation, which is networking knowledge. ARP, Address Resolution Protocol. So before getting started with these tools on Kali Linux, get started into basics. Okay. So the methodology, guy, you start by discovering your network. Then, after you have identified the IP of the network, you're gonna scan the network for vulnerabilities. You can use Nmap, or you can use graphical tools like ZenMap, or you can use Sparta. Okay. All of you guys know Nmap. I'm not going to click on that. Now, after you have identified the network and listed the open ports and their associated services, now you're going to grasp the version of these services and look for vulnerabilities. Now, the vulnerability analysis tool here, has like many tools. Among them is Nmap and Nikto. Nikto is for web-based, for web servers. So over here, it asks for the host. So you type Nikto, specify the host and the IP address that you have discovered earlier in your scanning phase. Let's say here, 1. You hit enter then. Okay. Nikto is vulnerability scanner for web servers. Okay. Now you have here Sparta. It's the same as, it's scanning tool and vulnerability analysis tool. Okay. So also you have Searchsploit. It discovers it searches for exploits for vulnerable versions of whatever, web servers, tools, binaries, whatever. So now after I've identified the network, scanned for open ports, identified some vulnerabilities, okay, you can start by analyzing the vulnerabilities, guys. If it is web-based vulnerabilities, like you can use web scrap for discovering hidden directories or spidering the web. If it is WordPress, you're gonna start scan the WordPress, discover what are the vulnerabilities, what are the outdated plugins. It might be OWASP, it might be command injection vulnerability, it might be pursuit. You're gonna use these tools over here to further expand your vulnerability scanning depending on your what your scanning phase. What your scanning phase has revealed is going to identify what tool you're going to use among these guys. It might be web-based vulnerability analysis. It might be network-based vulnerability analysis like Nessus. Database assessment, we talked about these guys. Password attacks, if you have SSH server, or if you have RDB server, or if you have a place that opens an opportunity for brute force attacks. I'm going to use these guys over here. So till now, we started with identifying the network, scanning the network, information gathering. Then we analyzed the vulnerabilities existed on our target. Now it's time to exploit, guys. The exploitation tools, they are Searchsploit, as we talked, search for current exploits for the discovered vulnerabilities, Metasploit. An efficient way to use Metasploit, guys, is to start the Metasploit, and when it starts, hopefully, you're gonna search for the application that has possible vulnerabilities, or the application that you are searching vulnerabilities for. Now, after I've exploited the host, it's time to put your Linux skills into action, which is privilege escalation. You can type search WordPress. A list will come up with all of the vulnerabilities, all of the exploits that you can use against your WordPress target. Just type search for the application that has been revealed during your scanning and vulnerability analysis phase. So here you go, guys. You have the information gathering, identifying the network, scanning the network for the open ports and their services, analyzing the possible vulnerabilities, searching for vulnerabilities for the current applications, exploiting these vulnerabilities, having a limited shell, applying your Linux skills for privilege escalation phase. Now, sniffing and spoofing. You might not need these all the time when you do pen testing, but it's good when you do on-site penetration testing. You can test the security of your client's network and see if the communication between the client's local network and the outside world is very well secured. See if the information or the confidential information could be sniffed. Okay, you can use Wireshark, you can use EtherCap or DriftNet. Post exploitation is to maintain your access. Okay, so you can use backdoor factory to plant a backdoor or upload the backdoor after you have exploited the system and gained limited shell. You can use backdoor factory to maintain your access. But most of the time, in a short-term pen testing, you're not gonna maintain your access in the client's machine. But if you are required to do advanced persistent threat testing, you're gonna need to use maintained access. Social engineering, guys, this is for if you want to uh, do kind of penetration testing, but not against the client network. If the scope is more than that, if the scope is to test the whole office, like you're gonna send massive emails to employees and test their response to your message. You can design, like, you can craft a message, put out a link, and test the response of the employees in the company. So you are doing social engineering testing. Okay, this is not this is okay. Sometimes this kind of testing is done as standalone testing and not mixed with network penetration testing, depending on the scope, guys. So I think we have talked about this, and now I think I'm gonna close this up and wrap this up. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as I told you from the beginning, that's not everything, but that's, I mean, kind of summary and a nutshell how to start yourself in penetration testing. I'm not gonna forget to put down the links in the video description, and I'm gonna wish you a good night.